The Persian Empire of Darius the Great stretches from Macedonia to the Indus River, and in 490 BC it's mobilizing hundreds of thousands of soldiers from all across its territory to conquer ancient Greece. Faraway nations like the nomadic Sakai people of the Central Asian steppe are gathering in Persia for the invasion of Greece. The campaign to capture the Greek states is launched by the Persian king Darius the Great from his capital city of Susa. The king appoints Datis, a general native to the Media region, to lead the invasion. This is one of the rare instances when the person leading the Persian army is not an ethnic Persian from the royal family. But his second in command does come from Persian royalty. Artapernes, a brother of the great king, is governor at Sardis, ruling over most of the Greeks in Asia. His son, also called Artapernes, is the one appointed as the second general of the campaign. The two generals, Datis and Artapernes, are dispatched by the Persian king in Susa to take an army to the province of Cilicia and wait for the navy to arrive there. The Phoenicians provide the bulk of the Persian navy, and they sail to the Cilician coast to pick up the land army. The army camped on the Aegean plain boards the arriving ships. The fleet even includes horse transports for the cavalry, a new invention. From Cilicia, the combined Persian fleet and army sail along the southern coast of Asia Minor to Greece. The fleet contains 600 ships provided by Phoenicia and other nations. The numbers given for the size of the army range from 200,000 to 600,000, plus 10,000 horses for the cavalry. The first target of the Persian invasion is the island of Rhodos. The fleet sails to the city of Lindos and puts it under siege. The city comes close to surrendering when they run out of water, but they are saved by an unexpected rainstorm. The siege is lifted, and the Persians move on without capturing Lindos. The fleet then sails to the island of Samos, the starting point for the main part of their invasion. By this time, when the first Persian invasion of Greece starts, the Persian Empire already controls the Greek cities on the eastern and northern coasts of the Aegean Sea. But Athens and Sparta, the two leading military powers of mainland Greece, are still free, and they firmly reject the Persian king's demands to submit. The Persians already launched an invasion to reach these regions 2 years earlier, but back then the invasion along the north coast failed because the fleet was destroyed by a storm at the Athos Peninsula before it could reach its destination. The dangerous sea lane at Athos is one of the reasons why the current Persian invasion aims to reach Athens through the southern islands of the Aegean Sea instead. The Persian fleet sails to the island of Naxos through the Icarian Sea. Naxos has been the most prosperous Greek island up to this point in time. But its citizens flee to the mountains when the Persians arrive, and their city and its sanctuaries are burned, and those who couldn't escape are enslaved. The neighboring island of Paros submits to the Persians and provides ships for the rest of their campaign. Meanwhile, the people of Delos flee to the nearby island of Tenos. So by the time the Persian fleet gets to Delos, the place is already abandoned. The Persian fleet anchors at the island of Rania, across the strait from Delos. Only the Persian general Datis lands on the sacred island of Delos to pay his respects at the sanctuary. The temples of Delos are left intact. The Persians then capture the next few islands, forcing their men into joining the Persian army and taking their children as hostages to ensure their loyalty. The Persian fleet reaches the island of Euboea at Charistos. The city-state of Charistos refuses to provide troops or hostages to the Persians. But when the Persians put the city under siege and plunder its countryside, Charistos finally gives in and joins the Persians. By capturing Naxos and its islands, then using them to reach Euboea, the Persians accomplished what they tried but failed to do 9 years earlier. Back then, the siege of Naxos failed after 4 long months, and the Persians didn't even reach the other islands. This failure then triggered a revolt in the Greek cities of Asia, and the Persians had to spend the next 6 years on putting down this rebellion. The Greek revolt in Asia was supported by the city-states of Athens and Eretria, and the objective of the next stage of the Persian invasion is to punish them for it. The city-state of Eretria is the leading sea power of Greece at this time. When they learn that the Persian army is sailing against them, they request help from Athens. The neighboring city-state of Colchis is under the control of the Athenians. Athens sends over 4,000 of their settlers from Colchis to help out Eretria. But now the panicking Eretrians are planning to either flee or surrender to the Persians, and the Athenians are sent back. The Athenians cross over to Oropos before the Persians arrive. The Persians move on from Charistos and land on the coast of Eretria, where they start besieging the city. After 7 days of battle, Eretria is captured by treachery. The city and its sanctuaries are burned and its citizens are enslaved. The last target of the Persian invasion is Athens, a democratic state and the second greatest military power in Greece. The Athenians send a messenger to Sparta to ask for help. The 250-kilometer distance is covered in less than 2 days by the runner. This journey inspired the modern-day Spartathlon race. According to legend, the runner encountered the god Pine while passing through Mount Parthenion above Tegea. The Spartans agree to send help, but they can only depart a few days later because of certain religious rules. But the delay is more likely to be due to the Helot uprising in Messenia that the Spartans were dealing with at this time. The Persians plan to land at Marathon, a place that is suitable for their cavalry. 10,000 Athenian hoplites march to Marathon, preparing for the arrival of the Persians. The Persian fleet transports the enslaved Eretrians to Aegleia, an island of Styra. The Persians then finally land at Marathon. They are guided there by Hippias, the former tyrant of Athens, who wants to be reinstated as the leader of the city under Persian rule. The city of Plataea is the most loyal ally of Athens. They send over their 1,000 hoplites to join the fight. The Athenian army assembled for the battle contains about 10,000 soldiers. The army is led by a council of 10 generals, who were elected by the citizens of their home district. The 10 generals are evenly split about giving battle or retreating. Miltiades, who already fought the Persians in the Ionian Revolt, emerges as the leading figure of the faction that wants to engage in battle. The deciding vote in favor of giving battle is cast by Callimachus, who has the formal title of Commander-in-Chief of the army. But the leading commander during the battle itself is going to be Miltiades. The battle takes place on the plain of Marathon. The sanctuary of Heracles at the southern entrance of the plain serves as the headquarters of the Athenian army, while the Persian fleet is stationed on the eastern half of the coast. After several days of waiting, the Persian army lines up opposite the Greek camp. The Athenians prepare to engage them and don't wait any longer for the Spartans to arrive. The much smaller Athenian army then charges the larger Persian one, which shocks the Persians. The left flank of the Athenian army is manned by their allies from Plataea. The middle of the Athenian line had to be made thinner to cover the width of the Persian line. The leading general in the middle is Aristeides, whose conduct here will get him elected as the chief magistrate of Athens the following year. And the right flank is led by Callimachus, the formal commander-in-chief. The Persians put their strongest troops in the middle, the ethnic Persians and the nomadic Sakai. The weak center of the Athenian line breaks as a result, and they flee inland. But on the two flanks, it's the Athenians who rout the Persians. The Athenian flanks then attack the Persian center from both sides, instead of pursuing the fleeing Persian flanks. But after the Persian center is defeated too, the Athenians can pursue the enemy to their camps. The Athenians then attack the Persian ships, capturing 7 of them and destroying several others. Some of the Persians try to get to their ships by crossing the marshes, but they end up drowning there. But most of the Persian fleet is able to escape. After their victory, the Athenians set up a trophy where the fleeing Persians were finally defeated. And a burial mound is erected on the spot where most Athenians fell. The Persians were defeated in spite of their large numerical advantage. The Athenians lost only 192 hoplites, compared to 6,400 dead on the Persian side, proving the effectiveness of the Greek phalanx against the light infantry of the Persians. But the Athenians lost a general and their commander-in-chief. After the battle, the Persians retreat back to Aegean and collect the Eretrian slaves left on the island. The Persians then sail to Sunion, trying to get to Athens before the Athenian army can get there. Aristides is left to guard Marathon with a tenth of the Athenian army. The rest of the Athenians rush back to their city to defend it. This more than 40-kilometer-long run inspired the modern-day marathon race, but the Athenians had to perform it in full armor. The Persians arrive at Athens' main port at Polairon, but they are too late, as the Athenians got there first. The Persians admit defeat and sail back to where they came from. So the Persian invasion ends without achieving its final objective of punishing Athens. The Persian general Dades stops at Mykonos and takes a looted statue to Delos, after seeing a vision in his sleep. He wants the stolen statue returned to where it was taken from, the city of Delion in the territory of Thebes. But the statue remains at Delos for the next 20 years. The Persian fleet then sails back to Asia, and the campaign in Greece ends. After the invasion, the Persians end up dominating the Aegean Sea, but the mainland states like Athens remain free. The Persian Empire destroyed and enslaved Naxos and Eretria, two of the most developed Greek islands, and it subjugated many of the other island nations. Only Athens and Sparta stand in the way of the Persians gaining complete control of Greece. Meanwhile, the 2,000 troops sent by Sparta reach Athens less than 3 days after departing, but the battle is already over by the time they arrive. The Eretrians that the Persians enslaved in Greece are taken away to the heartlands of Persia, where they are resettled in the Kysia region at a town called Arderika near the Persian capital city of Susa. After the invasion, the Athenians send a fleet of 70 ships to the island of Paros, to punish it for providing ships to the Persians the previous year. The campaign to Paros is led by Miltiades, the same general who won the Battle of Marathon. But this time he is wounded, and his siege fails after 26 days. The Athenians retreat and Miltiades later dies of his injury. After the Battle of Marathon, the Persian advance in Greece stops for an entire decade. The Persian king Darius the Great dies before he can launch another campaign, and it's going to be his son, Xerxes, who eventually starts the second Persian invasion of Greece.